How's it going, Twitch? My name is Skull, and on behalf of Eastasiasoft, welcome to today's stream. Today, I am continuing my playthrough of The Letter, excuse me, which is out now for Nintendo Switch, and with a port coming to PlayStation early next year, as well as a physical release for the Switch. So yeah, this is my second day playing through this game. So far, it's a really intriguing premise. It's technically horror, but it's nothing that is too intense. This is a really tame horror sort of a thing. Imagine like the old school Universal Monsters films, stuff like that. But yeah, it should be a whole lot of fun. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Day 2 of The Letter. A rush of air greets me as soon as the main door opens. Not the usual autumn draft, but it's still a welcome change from the stifling atmosphere inside the mansion. Ash's footsteps are quick behind me, the soles of his shoes thumping hard against the polished concrete in an awkward cadence as he rushes to catch up. He calls out once, twice. The mansion still looms in the background. Whispers calling me back. Shadows beckoning. I don't look back. We spend the ride back to Luxborn City in a relatively quiet manner, with only the radio's disjointed hum in the background to fill the silence. Occasionally, Ash will reach out to fiddle with it until the signal settles or it's on a respectable volume, but otherwise he doesn't say anything. Neither do I. However, if the furtive glances he's been sending my way are signs, I know there are things he's been itching to ask since we left the mansion. I keep my eyes trained on the passing scenery outside, in the small hope that my disinterest will dissuade him.
Here.
All of a sudden, he tosses something at me from a small compartment on his side. It hits me cleanly on the chin before I can make a move to catch it. The small package makes a soft landing on my lap instead. Ooh, the clouds are moving.
Sorry.
The glare I send him wipes the smirk about to form cleanly off his face. He clears his throat, focusing his eyes on the road again. I swear he did that on purpose. Ignoring him, I flip the half-forgotten package on my lap.
I won't say no to free food, but why are you giving away cereal bars?
I always have one on my person, and you look like you're about to pass out back there. Have you eaten lunch yet?
I don't even get a chance to deny it, because right on cue, my stomach rumbles loudly, and an empty, gnawing feeling in my belly becomes noticeable. No surprise there. I did skip breakfast and lunch so I could catch Becca while she was on break. I was hoping to get a small meal after. I guess with everything going on, I just forgot until Ash mentioned it. It's not like the hollow feeling's new to me, though. If anything, it's just one of the things I've gotten used to ignoring over the years, growing up. A thanks, then I tear open the package and start nibbling on the edge of the bar. Apart from an acknowledging nod, Ash doesn't say anything after that small exchange. I am streaming at the right time, right? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Be funny if I wasn't, anyway. For that, I'm thankful. After getting an earful from both Becca and Rose, it's nice to be able to just sit down with someone who's not going to nag at you.
How'd the open house go?
The usual. We got a bigger crowd than normal because of the property's fame, but really no different from the typical open house. On second thought, it actually looks like a fancy party more than an open house. I've never felt so underdressed in my life. Weren't you there?
I wasn't really listening.
I should have asked someone to kick you out.
No, you won't.
And what makes you so sure?
One, ever since you got assigned to this property, you've been freaking out about it. Rebecca's words, not mine. She's been complaining to me about how you talked your ears off, by the way. Two, despite your initial qualms about the place, you still took the job. Which brings us to three. It's been months since you last settled a deal, and you're short on money right now since you're back to your instant noodle diet.
How do you even know about the last one?
Rebecca. Anyhow, you're hellbent on selling the mansion. Even if someone you know personally is in the tour group, you aren't going to just kick them out. Every single person who went on your open house is still a prospective client to you. Even me.
He's not entirely wrong. Oh man, I walked right into that one, didn't I?
I hate you. I really hate you right now.
His answer is a small laugh. The kind that screams, "I'm right, I told you so." I hate it when he does that.
I'll have you know that there's already someone who's extremely interested in this property. So even if you expressed any sort of interest in it, I don't think they'd be willing to let you have it. Too bad.
Provided I didn't botch it with the rights. Ma'am Hana, in particular, didn't look too pleased with what I did. I owe Rose a big apology. I hope she likes free donuts.
You don't seem too happy about it.
I am happy. Doesn't this look like a happy face to you?
Really? And here I was thinking you found another one stuffed in the sofa. Or is it the wardrobe this time?
He meant that as a joke, but how close it is to the truth made my blood run cold and my own heart beat a heavy weight in my chest. All at once, a letter in my bag feels a whole lot heavier, burdened by my own guilt and apprehension.
Yeah, well, things happened. Stuff the right couple might not be pleased about. No need to make a fuss about it. It's normal in the business.
You made them angry?
Not angry, just stuff happened.
Like?
Things.
Did they do anything? Your clients, the rights, was it?
I can't answer that. At least not revealing everything that took place in the attic. Lie to him. I turn my eyes back to the passing view outside. Maybe if I remain quiet long enough, he'll get a hint.
Seriously, what happened?
You're already assuming something happened.
I'm not. It's what you said earlier, and that's why I'm asking. What did they do?
They didn't do anything, all right? It's nothing. Work's just been stressful. My boss has been in a bad mood lately over a lost sale. Preparing everything for the open house has been tiring. And then there's the tour. You've seen how big the place is.
I wish he'd just drop the subject and be done with it. It's not like he'll do something if I tell him. Outside, the sun has already started its descent, casting a vibrant orange glow on the tall buildings. I wonder how long before we reach the movie house. Zach's been pretty excited about his movie. I'd hate to ruin that for him. But right now, I just want the day to be over.
Just so you know, people we interrogate often avoid our eyes when they're hiding something.
I'm not hiding anything!
I didn't say you were.
Then why are you still asking about it?
Your face is a lot more expressive than you think.
Can you please just drop it?
My voice comes out harsher than I've intended, and I immediately regret having taken that tone on him. As one would expect, Ash is taken aback, but recovers quickly. An uncomfortable silence settles in the car, while I find myself wishing I hadn't snapped at him like that. Stupid, 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 Isabella. It's the first time in months you get to spend time with your friends and you're already messing things up.
Sorry. I didn't mean to yell.
He responds with nothing more than a nod, and I take that as his way of dropping the topic. For now, if the way his jaw tightens is a sign of what he thinks about the matter. I just hope I can give him a proper answer next time. Time passes quickly between us in this manner, and before I know it, we're already at the movie house. A small crowd has already formed in front of the theater when we arrive. The Lift Fest, short for Luxborn Independent Film and Theater Festival, attracts a bigger crowd annually, and this year's no exception. I've already... Pocket Chibi, one of the movies. I've only been to a few indie film screenings with Zach, so I'm not an expert on the matter. But I know that for people hoping to make a break in the industry, getting your film recognized by a local event like this is already a big deal. Especially for a newcomer like Zach. He hasn't even won an award, but Just getting a confirmation letter that the festival committee wants to include his movie in this year's lineup already put a grin on his face for weeks. Speaking of the guy, he's impossible to miss. At 6 feet, he appears to loom over most of the moviegoers, and with his large build and heavy voice, there's no surprise when people gave him a wide berth as they pass by. It's often easy to mistake him for someone intimidating at first glance. I did, back when I didn't know any better. Ash did too, I heard. Once, early in their friendship.
Oh, there's Zach!
Hey, you guys! Long time no see!
Zach's face lights up with a smile of his own. He moves towards us with careful steps, taking a significant effort to make himself smaller so as to not bump or accidentally hit anyone. Typical Zach. As he nears, Ash casually raises his hand in greeting and...
Sup, Z-Man, my main man. What's crack-a-lackin', my homie?
The awkwardness that descends within the immediate vicinity of our small group is palpable enough. Somewhere to our left, a girl giggles, and only then do I become aware of my mouth hanging open. I'm almost amazed how Ash can say that out loud with a straight face. Almost. Considering his track record, I should be used to it by now. Zach seems to be.
Yo, stop trying to act black, Ashton. And you're the only one who calls me Z-Man.
There's fondness underneath his exasperated tone. If this were any other person, he'd likely be offended, but years of friendship and familiarity have made those words harmless to the other's ears. Or at least enough for both of them to take it in stride.
It's been a while, Zach.
I hope you didn't get into trouble again.
Not much to get into trouble lately without you, I'm afraid. I'll let you know if something comes up, though.
Nah, I ended up with chicken down stuck on me last time I agreed. I'd really love at least this year to pass without some sort of accident happening again.
Hey, I take offense to that. It wasn't that bad.
You really have no idea.
A beat passes. And then Zach laughs.
Hey, I'm kidding! You know you can always count on me.
It's a story only the two of them are privy to. Every now and then, Ash will enlist Zach's help on something. Becca and I never really found out what the real deal is with these adventures, as Ash calls it, and both aren't willing to tell due to some unspoken agreement. She insists that if it's Ash, it's likely not something illegal or life-threatening. I tend to believe her on that. Sometimes. Ah, well, boys will be boys, I guess. I give Zach a small wave from behind Ash when his attention eventually turns to me.
Bella! Huh? Rebecca's not with you. Is she still sick?
A bit. But she's up and went to work this morning. You know she doesn't listen to anyone that's not Ash.
Yes, she does.
No, she doesn't. You're literally the only person she'll listen to when she's feeling stubborn.
And it's true. They've known each other far longer than any of us in the group, childhood friends and all.
But don't worry, Zach. She's probably on her way here now. She promised she wouldn't miss your movie. Isabella! Oh, thank goodness!
Speak of the devil. Without warning, a hand grabs me by the shoulder and turns me around.
Becca, you're just...
I have to lean back a little with the way her face is almost invading my personal space. But she places her hand on either side of my head and to keep me still. She stares at me intently, concern filling her eyes.
Becca, you're squishing my face. How are you? Are you all right? Why wouldn't I be?
Rose called me earlier.
Those 4 words tell me all I need to know. Since I don't have my family living close by and the only other relative I have here works on the far side of the country, I gave my company Becca's contact number in case of emergency. I should have known Rose would call her. I push Becca's hand away from my face. Although she lets go, her eyebrows remain drawn together.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Beside me, Ash snickers. I bite back the urge to elbow him in place of trying to avoid Becca's hand as she tries to reach out for the said area. I do my best to dodge her, all at once moving to hide behind Zach. Sorry for using you as a human shield, Zach.
Oh, it's nothing. I just slipped off a few steps on my way down. I blacked out for a few seconds and had a minor bump, but it's just that.
You blacked out? It's not something to brush off. Come on, at least let me check it.
It's extremely minor. You wouldn't even know it's there.
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this. Just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Something crosses Becca's face, but it's gone before I can figure out what it is.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
See? I'm okay. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. And I don't want to miss Zach's film.
We can always watch it some other time. Sorry, Zachary.
No, it's good. But you guys should really keep it down. We're starting to attract some attention.
It's the premiere. The premiere's different. Right, Zach?
I shoot him a pleading look. Zach's a sensible guy. He'll understand. Please understand.
Not really. But Rebecca has a point. In the end, I think it's your call.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
Please, Becca. I really don't want to miss it.
You're not missing it. We're just moving it on a different day so we can have a...
Look, you guys.
Ash's loud sigh unexpectedly cuts through the conversation. He's pinching the bridge of his nose as he speaks, something he usually does when he's getting impatient.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably...
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
I already know the answer before Becca voices it out. When, at last, she releases a deep breath and nods, albeit with great reluctance, I immediately tackle her into a hug.
Thanks, Becca.
It's always been you with him, isn't it?
Did you say something?
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
If you say so.
Okay, guys, showtime's close, so I think I'm gonna get us some snacks. My treat. And then let's head inside. Anyone here has a smaller bill?
I think I do. Hold on.
I pull myself off from Becca to get my wallet from my bag, and
What's this?
it's already in Ash's hands before I can even react. Behind him, Becca and Zach are both giving the piece of paper an intrigued look.
No! Give it back!
It's just a paper.
I don't care! Give it!
Looks ancient, too. Why do you keep this around?
I try to reach for it, but he holds the paper way above his head. I've never been particularly sensitive about my own height, but right now I really wish I had that advantage over him.
Don't open it!
What's the big deal? It's not like it's a love letter. I don't see any reason to... Hold on a second. This is, isn't it?
Even if it is, it's not for you.
Okay, now I'm curious.
I'm telling you, it's nothing like that. It's...
The rest of my words are lost when he unfolds the paper. I can't breathe. My heart feels stuck in my throat, pounding, threatening to burst out. Vaguely, I note how my hands are trembling at my sides. Clasping them together doesn't do any good. They are still shaking, but I hang on to them regardless. The awful, sick weight that has taken its core in my stomach back in the open house returns full force. How do I fix this? How do I fix this? How do I fix this? Someone, please. Today is turning out to be a horrible nightmare.
Send this to 5 people or else. Well, that's... interesting.
Guys, I think we should listen to Bella first.
Aren't you a few days early for Halloween?
Ash waves the paper in front of me, giving me a fleeting glimpse of its contents. I don't need to see. I don't want to see. The letters, the words, every stroke written in blood is already embedded in my mind. Maybe I should have just thrown it away when I had the chance. That way. That way.
It's not a prank.
It makes all of them stop. Even I am surprised at how steady my voice is.
What did you say?
This isn't a prank! I saw something!
Hold on. Are we still talking about this paper? Or is it about the urban legend again?
Both. I know it sounds ridiculous.
You're saying this is a primitive version of a chain letter, and now that we've seen it, we're now cursed. You've got to be kidding me.
See? This is why I didn't want to tell you guys.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Without another word, I snatch the letter out of Ash's hand and stuff it back in my bag, with more force than necessary. I'm tired. I got cursed, saw a ghost, probably lost a sale, got kicked out of the open house I'm supposed to be hosting, my own friends won't believe me, and all of them think I'm crazy. To top it all off, there's a dull ache at the back of my head begging for a little attention I can't afford to give right now. Honestly, there's only so much a person can take within a single day. I just want to go home, curl up in my bed, and never think about today. But before I can take a single step away from the group...
Guys!
Zach rarely ever raises his voice, even when there's a point he wants to drive home. And hearing him take on that tone completely throws me off. Even Ash and Becca. Whatever harsh words yet to come out from the argument immediately die on our tongues.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together? We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
He has a point. Ash, for all his attempts to look cool and distant, has also been looking forward to this. He even took the time to call this morning for a reminder. He never does that. Becca, too. I'm pretty sure there's another reason why she got out of bed today. Yet, despite Zach's attempts to lighten things up, or Ash's and Becca's acquiescing gestures, the tightness in my chest remains. I should have just kept it to myself, or at least went with the idea that it's a prank. If I did, things might not have turned out the way they had. No sour mood, no bad vibes. Careless, so careless. Maybe leaving is the better decision for all of us. And I agree. I know I'm being selfish, but if I stay, I'll only get in the way. I can't look Zach in the eye when my excuses come tumbling out of my mouth.
I'm sorry. Today's not a good day for a movie night out. I think I'll pass. Enjoy, you guys.
Isabella, wait!
I leave without another word. One step after another, as fast as my own 2 feet can take me away from them. Becca calls after me again. Zach and Ash do too, but their voices become lost in the hustle and bustle of the afternoon crowd. It's strange. To walk home like this, to bump shoulders with people you don't know. I felt the same way years ago, fresh off the boat in a foreign land with no one else to depend on. I won't deny that I was nervous. Now, well, it's not every day that you get into an argument with your friends. Not every day that they won't believe you even if you're telling the truth. It feels like a betrayal of sorts. It leaves you hollow. And in this faceless city, it's impossible not to feel alone after. The sun has already set by the time I reach the comfort of my own room. Wow, weren't kidding about that noodles diet. On my phone there are 4 messages waiting to be read. 3 from Zach, and a lone voicemail from Ash. Becca will probably drop by later to check on me, to say the same thing these messages likely contain. Yet, I can't bring myself to open or listen to any of them, much less look forward to anyone's visit. So without another glance at it, I slide my phone back in my bag and flop down on my bed, allowing the heavy feeling in my chest to finally pull me into an uneasy sleep. Perhaps tomorrow would be better. The darkness closes around me, grasping, pulling, engulfing me. The ground caves in, and without warning, I'm falling. My eyes snap open. For an instant, it doesn't register immediately where I am. Both my back and shoulders ache after I've fallen asleep, all hunched up the night before. Drenched in sweat, the nest of pillows I often keep around me feels more suffocating than comforting. I let my eyes adjust to the bright morning light streaming through my window and allow my breathing to slow down before untangling myself from the pile. I haven't had a single dream since coming to Luxborn, or at least none I can recall having. It's a shame because they used to be so vivid. Not the crazy vivid, but the more pleasant kind I'll tell my siblings about. Maybe it's just the stress of living alone. The knowledge that I'll always wake up in an empty apartment with no one to tell stories to.
What time is it?
Habit forces me to look over at the clock, even with the soreness weighing heavily on my shoulders and the compulsion to never leave my bed for the day. In a heartbeat, I'm up.
Oh man, of all the times to oversleep. Towel? Where's my towel?
Admittedly, it is a weekend. As an unspoken rule, that entitles me to extra hours of sleep. But if Rose didn't kill me yesterday, she sure as hell will now. And right after what happened... Oh Lord, 1 box of donuts as peace offering won't be enough the second time around. Grabbing my towel, I'm already a few steps short away from the bathroom, when a muffled ringing breaks out of my bag. There's a moment of indecision at first. My mind conflicted whether I should just ignore or answer it. But what if it's Rose? Or worse, our boss. Sheesh. In the end, the rational part of my brain wins out. The letter from yesterday peeks out when I pull the device out. Just the sight of it is enough to put me in a foul mood, and it takes every force of will for me to ignore it in favor of answering the call. The caller ID reads Mama.
Huh?
It's around 4:45 in the Philippines right now.
That's an unusual time for them to call.
Usually it's around noontime here, and I'm the one calling, not the other way around. Better for them to use that money on something other than an international call. Regardless, in the most cheerful tone I can gather.
Hello?
Hello? Grace? How are you?
Mama! I'm doing okay. How are you guys over there?
We're good. EJ won a storytelling contest at school the other week. Brought home a medal. I thought you should know.
There's a tired lilt in her voice as she speaks. It's been there since Papa had to leave his job. I wish there's something I can do for her. But from miles away like this, the least I'm able to not make her worry. If only my older brother would actually lend her a hand, but Lord knows if that'll ever happen. Odds are, Kuya Jordan's already out drinking right now. Again. I can't count on my older sister either, knowing she has a family of her own. And, well, 8. Anne's financial situation isn't exactly great right now, having ran herself knee-deep in debt. I think that's Ate.
Great! That's great! Tell him congratulations from me. And let him know I'm gonna send him a little something extra this Christmas. How about Nico? Karen? Michael? I hope they're okay?
They're doing well. They wanted to talk to you, but they're all busy with school.
Oh no, that's fine. I don't want to bother them. Just tell them to keep doing their best for me. I'll just call back when I know they're not busy. And Papa? How's Papa doing?
It's a subject I'm a bit hesitant to broach. From the way Mama's voice hitches, she doesn't want to bring it up either.
Papa... Grace, he's having a little difficulty right now. Weak appetite, he's having trouble swallowing, and lost a few pounds. But the doctor said we should keep encouraging him. It just means his body's accepting his new treatment well. The money you sent last time helped a lot to pay for it, by the way.
Oh, I see. That's good.
I won't deny that life has gotten tougher for our family. It used to be easy back when Papa was in good shape. But ever since he was diagnosed with a sickness 5 years ago, he had been unable to provide for us. Now the burden of feeding 8 mouths and settling Papa's bills all rest on my shoulders. Although Mama makes a little, accepting sewing and laundry jobs in our neighborhood, it's scarcely enough to cover the costs of day-to-day living, let alone the bloating hospital bills. We can't even expect help from our own government because the health insurance there barely covers anything.
I'm sure he'll get better soon. Is he well enough to talk? Do you think I'll be able to speak to him, Ma?
Silence. I start to think that the call got cut until...
Listen, Grace. Maybe it's better if we transfer Papa to a different hospital. Somewhere cheaper?
What? Why? Did something happen? Is it the deposit issue again? Give me the hospital's number. I'll talk to them.
No, it's nothing bad. The service here is good. Too good. Even the doctors. But I'm worried you're working yourself to the ground because of it.
Mama, we've been through this before. I want the best for Papa. And don't worry about the bills or the medicine, or me for that matter. I can handle myself. Everything's going well here. In fact, we're about to close a large sale.
Hopefully. If not, then I'll find another way. She doesn't need to know that. Sorry, Mama. You taught me not to lie, yet look at what I'm doing.
I'll have money to send over soon to cover the rest of Papa's treatment. And there's more than enough for Karen, Nico, Michael, and EJ's school tuition, too.
Thank you so much, dear. I appreciate it. We all do. But I just wish you'd come home to us soon.
Ah. Kailan Kawi. When are you coming home? EJ, the youngest, used to be the only person asking me that. How do you respond to a question you don't have a definite answer to? 5 years later, and I still can't give them a straight one. I smile, though Mama can't see it. I fight to keep my lips from quivering, my voice from shaking. She's got enough on her plate as it is. No need to weigh her down with unnecessary concerns.
Promise me you'll be there to welcome me when I do, okay?
Of course. I'm sorry, Grace. I need to take this for a while.
There's a small commotion on the other end. The sound of gates opening, the sound of a child, EJ, talking excitedly about his day at school, the tapping of feet on the floorboards as he runs. It's been years since I went home, but I can still picture the whole scene in my mind. How tall is he now? Are the neighborhood kids bullying him now that I'm not around? Did Mama rearrange the furniture in the living room again? What are they having for dinner today? I miss them. I miss them so much.
It's okay, Ma. I need to go too. I've got work today. I'll call again soon, alright?
On a Saturday? Oh, never mind. Take care of yourself, dear. I love you.
I love you. Bye.
It ends with a soft click, leaving half-truths and empty promises hanging in the air. Closing my eyes for a moment, I take a deep breath and shake away the thoughts beginning to swim inside my head. It's pointless to mull over these things right now.
Okay, Isabella. Time to get that mansion sold.
Unfortunately, before I could take a single step away from my phone, it rings again. No doubt Mama forgot to say something.
Mama? Did you forget anything?
Excuse you? I'm too young to be your mom. Are you still sleeping? Hold on, never mind that. Get yourself in the office. Hurry!
Office? What about the open house? Oh no. Is it Sir John? Did he hear about yesterday? Am I in trouble? Oh god, oh god, oh god! I'm gonna get yelled at, aren't I? What do I do? I'll buy you an extra box of donuts if...
No, it's nothing like that. Will you calm down? Get yourself here, alright? I'll tell you everything then.
There's the telltale din of several feet shuffling against the wooden flooring, and an indistinct yelling in the background before Rose cuts the connection. This isn't in any way comforting. But it's enough reason for me to hastily discard my phone and finish my shower in record time. I make it to our office within 20 minutes of leaving my apartment, completely disheveled and out of breath. A feat if I take into account my usual travel time. Routine clamor, Common and Briar Realty Corporation's Luxborn office greets me as soon as my foot crosses the threshold. These sentences are kind of hard to say out loud, aren't they? Papers rustling, telephones ringing at sporadic intervals, agents talking at varying volumes, staff moving about, and...
Where the hell is C? Where are my employees? What the actual fuck, guys? Of all the times to disappear without notice!
My boss's words turn muffled as someone else closes the door to his office. Likely the work of our HR manager. Throughout the past few weeks, he's been in a bad mood over a few employees who have failed to report to work. I hear they're still trying to get a hold of them, but to no avail. The result is half their workload has been shifted to all available staff so as to not lose clients. Not that I mind the extra work. If anything, it means I'll have more to send to my family back home. Although the rumors of a branch closure circulating because of this is indeed a bit worrisome. My bag barely touches the top of my table when Rose pulls me aside.
Here, I need you to help me with these papers. If you could also get these signed and photocopied before lunch today, that would be great.
One after another, she thrusts a bunch of paperwork in my hands without explanation. A page flutters away from the top of the pile, and I lean down to pick it up, my eyes scanning the top of the page as I straighten. A purchase and sale agreement. Rose simply gestures her thumb in the direction of our visitor lounge when I tilt my head in question. There, seated on the sofa and looking completely out of place in the humbly decorated room, is the same couple from the day before, the Wrights. Something bubbles up in my throat. Their presence in the office can only mean one thing.
They're buying it? We got a deal?
She swats at my hand, tugging her sleeve, although her eyes are alight with something akin to joy. She wants this sale to happen as much as I do, and now that it's here, the deal needs to be closed yet, documents need to be signed still, but the elation is there. Hi, Dem. Hey, you're not the only one. I don't think Josh tweeted out the stream was even happening. So, yeah, you're not the only one who forgot. It's fine. The deal is, after the last stream, she met up with her friends. They saw the letter, thought that it was a joke and that she was losing her mind, so she decided to go home. Had a phone conversation with her mother where it turns out that, she is providing for her family back home in a different country. Her father's in the hospital. Her mother has 8 children total, so there's a lot of so all the money that she's earning needs to be spread very thin, which is her motivation to sell this mansion. Now they're in the office, and it looks like the Wrights are going to buy the mansion. Yeah. Along with a foreboding feeling I can't quite pinpoint.
I had to do a little damage control, but they're already interested in acquiring the property, even before they attended the open house. I mean, isn't it obvious? They already hired an interior designer. I've never seen a buyer as aggressive as Madam Wright. She didn't even try to negotiate a lower rate.
One at a time, Rose. I can't process everything you're saying at once. What do you mean?
They're paying 15% higher than the listing price, as long as we get the paperwork done as soon as possible.
Wow.
I think if we allow it, they'll be paying up front, too.
Wow.
Even with that urban legend?
Rose nods.
Oh, I was so sure we lost the sale after yesterday.
Don't look so surprised. We still have to conduct some last few checks before we completely hand it over to them.
Please. I'll happily do the paperwork duty, Rose. I'll even go to the land registry myself and make sure the property changes hands with every single legal blessing.
Don't they have better things to spend money on? I'd haggle it down to the lowest possible price if I were in their place, especially with the stories attached to it. Not that my opinion matters one bit here. We're just their agents who are going to receive the hefty commission after all, nothing more. Rose gives me a pat on the shoulder, signaling that she's headed back to them, and an unspoken instruction for me to follow after I'm done. It doesn't take me long to finish what work she left me. In fact, having our boss sign the agreement is the easiest, since it put him in a better mood to the entire office's relief. Ma'am Hana calls me over the moment she notices my presence at the lounge door. Her lips are twisted in a frown. She doesn't seem particularly happy to see me, and I'm not surprised. Who wouldn't be? I almost created a scene. Mr. Wright, however...
Why, if it isn't the little Lily? I trust you're feeling well now.
It's Isabella, sir, not Lily. I appreciate your concern.
These two
I'm feeling better now.
have yet to call her proper name once, and they've changed her name every single time. It's so funny. I really don't understand why they can't get my name right. It's a fairly common name. It shouldn't be too hard to remember. Regardless, I hand him their copy of the agreement.
I believe I can take that. Thank you very much.
With how elegantly she plucks the papers off my hands, it's easy to think there isn't any trace of irritation in her. But it is there, radiating in her stiff stance, and the way she's standing at a fair distance from her husband, and how the two look to be ignoring each other. Seeing this scene, it soon becomes clear to me that I'm not the one who has put her in a bad mood. Did they fight? Most probably. I've seen it happen dozens of times with my previous clients. It's a shame, especially with their new mansion. I never did like it when my own mama and papa fight. I hope they'll make up soon. Apparently satisfied with what she's seen, Ma'am Hana clasps her hands together before extending it to us for a shake. Rose and I release the breath we've been holding, both of us more than happy to return the gesture.
That settles it then? Are you really sure about this property, ma'am? We could easily find you a bigger one among our current listings. Something with a modern touch?
Something not haunted, perhaps? Rose shoots me a warning glance that clearly says, don't make a scene, we're almost there.
Of course, why wouldn't I be? The house is absolutely perfect, isn't it, darling?
I feel like I would still be a nice addition.
Yes, well, we'll get there eventually, love. As I was saying, if your partner had the documents yesterday, we would have bought it right there immediately. Shame she didn't have it.
Well, there's still a few necessary documents we need you to sign after, but we'll let you know once we have those finalized. We'll be handling the process for the rest, so don't worry about it, ma'am.
Within a week, I hope. We still have a housewarming party to plan, after all. You know how much thought to be put into those things.
There are servants for that, darling.
Love, servants or not, you're going to make people listen to your input nonetheless.
No more than a week, ma'am. Barring unexpected delay, of course. You can leave it to us.
Excellent. Well then, I'll leave you two to it. It's been a pleasure doing business with you. Oh, and before we forget...
She discreetly folds something into both our hands and winks, a finger raised to her lips demanding our silence.
What happened the day before was quite unfortunate.
Well, that's
but
money.
But you did get us what we wanted in the end.
That is money.
That, at the very least, is commendable.
That's a lot of money.
But this is... Ma'am, I can't accept this.
Don't you worry, darling. It's a small thing coming from us. Consider this your Bonus for a job well done.
She smiles sweetly, like this is simply the most normal thing in the world to do.
Oh, before I forget, my lovely interior designer would appreciate it if you hand her a copy of the floor plan as soon as possible. She's dying to work on the house. You can do that, yes? Here's her contact.
Certainly, ma'am. We'll have it processed as soon as possible.
I knew I could count on you, lovelies. I hope to see you two soon so we can get this closed.
It's a bribe. Oh, that's... I didn't even consider that. That's a good point, yeah. Just like that. Transaction over and done with. My mind's still reeling even after they've left. Other agents would kill to have clients like them. A part of me feels lucky about the fact. No lengthy negotiations, no sudden change of minds. Just talk, signatures, a few handshakes here and there, and we're done. The other part... A second ago, we sold a haunted property to 2 innocent clients. Sure, the commission's big. Big enough to continue funding Papa's treatment and hospitalization. Big enough to pay for all 4 of my younger siblings' schooling. Heck, it'll keep me away from instant noodle diet for months. I don't have to go back to the mansion as well once the deal has been closed, much to my sanity's relief. But knowing that something's in there, and we gave it to the good couple despite that? Oh, Isabella, the things you do to sell a house and get money. Papa won't be happy with that. At least I have good news to tell next time I call home. The little lie I told Mama this morning isn't a lie anymore.
Well, there's something. So how does it feel?
How does what feel?
Your first big multi-million-pound sale, silly. I know you've been with us for years, but this has got to be memorable for you.
Memorable is an understatement, Rose.
Come on, show some enthusiasm. They gave us a bonus, too. Aside from the commission and the other bonus boss promised. What are you gonna do with it?
I don't know. Send it home, probably?
All of it?
Not everything, of course. Most of it. I'll leave some for my living expenses.
Listen here, Isabella. I'll teach you something I should have told you before we ended your training.
She slings an arm over my shoulders and leans in close to my ear, as though she's about to share a big secret.
It's okay to celebrate from time to time.
I don't get it.
It's simple. Go out, do something for yourself. Throw a party and treat your friends to free food. Didn't you say the last one's some sort of tradition back at home for you? Hello, this is practically a done deal.
Isn't throwing a party a bit excessive?
Your call. I won't say no to an invitation, by the way, in case you really are planning to throw one. A few drinks would be nice too, thank you very much.
Hint, hint.
I don't think my apartment's big enough for that.
You could always move? Bloody hell, you're working in real estate.
I think I'll pass. That's too much of an unnecessary expense for me. But I did promise Becca free lunch in case the sale goes well.
You go do that. Hold on a sec.
She quickly removes herself for me to answer the phone on her desk. Her tone shifts from playful to professional in the span of a few seconds.
Today? Not a problem, ma'am. I could bring you a copy of the contract if...
Must be another client. Nothing surprising there. She's one of BRC's top agents, no matter how modest she appears. A saleswoman through and through. I, on the other hand, have very little knack for it. Of course, I learned, eventually. I had to. But someone else will, without a doubt, do a better job. Once, though, in a drunken stupor, Rose told me a story of what could have been. Years ago, wide-eyed, young, and brimming with yet-to-be-fulfilled dreams and ambitions, she was a term or two away from a nursing degree. Out of curiosity, out of courtesy, I never pressed on the matter further. But perhaps it's where the sense of fondness started. A small connection due to one similar experience in our respective lives, of goals we both let us pass by because of the circumstances we're in.
I'd be happy to discuss this over tea, ma'am. All right, I'll be there. Thank you.
New client?
Reassigned. Have you heard from Mark at all?
Not since the first visit to the mansion. Why? No news from the HR yet?
None at all. Boss thinks he ran away. I doubt it, though. He's too much of a wimp for that. There must be another reason. Who knows? Anyway, I've got to meet this one. I'll see you later.
She throws a wave over her shoulder as she rushes out of the office. The lunchtime bell rings shortly after, followed by the chatter of fellow agents also heading out for a much-needed break. Ordinarily, there's no need for me to go out, but oversleeping didn't allow me the luxury of packing my own lunch today, if one considers taking an instant noodle cup from my pantry packing your lunch. Time to make good on the promise I made to Becca, I suppose. Maybe invite Zach and Ash too? In the end, only Becca and Zach could come. Ash, on the other hand, couldn't be reached. All my calls went straight to his voicemail. He's at it again. Right here today, gone the next day. Oh well, his loss. Excuse me. We have agreed to meet at the nearby cafe, the same one I frequent with Becca because it's cheap, and they give away free food when around closing time. His name is Ash 10. Ash for short. Quaint, a little old-fashioned, though looks a wee bit out of place amidst the city's tall buildings, but we love it all the same. Much like its facade, the interior carries an antiquated charm to it. Vintage art pieces and a row of shelves boasting an extensive collection of books cover the walls. It would have been nice to hang out here for hours on end, but even on a weekend, the place is still packed with people. As you can see by the picture. Thankfully, Becca and Zach have already found seats and are engaged in some casual chatter when I arrive. It's strange seeing the two of them without Ash accompanying the other. They've never been particularly close. Sure, they talk when they meet, laugh at the same things when there's something funny, but there's distance, the kind born purely out of differing interests. That or Zach's simply afraid of Becca. It's not impossible, and I won't blame him if he is. He might be the tallest in our group, but everyone knows that it means nothing against Becca's temper. Even I'm a little scared of her.
Zach! Becca!
Well, you seem to be in a better mood today. What happened? I thought for sure you're going to snub us for the better part of the week.
You know I can't stay angry at you guys. I was upset. I still am. But, well, something did happen this morning. Let's order food first, okay?
A waitress comes by to take our order. On a normal day, me and Becca will order a hearty serving of our special vegetarian stovies. Zach takes anything with a good helping of meat, sausages, and potatoes in it. But today is a good day. Great, even. It's not wrong to indulge a little, right?
Today's special. For the three of us.
Even the person jotting down our orders looks surprised at today's meal choice. She writes it nevertheless and leaves without a comment. Becca furrows her eyebrows, her mouth halfway open, ready to let loose what's likely a string of reprimands.
Don't worry. It's my treat.
The glare she sends my way reminds me of the one I received from Mama when I punched a kid bullying my younger brother 18 years ago. Naturally, I never did it again after she made me apologize the next day. But Becca's far from being my mom. A small, sheepish grin is enough to turn that frown into a defeated sigh. Food arrives in the middle of a funny story from Zach, putting the rest of the conversation on hold as we are each served our order. It isn't anything fancy. Pan-roasted sea bass with citrus-dressed asparagus and a portion of mashed potatoes on the side. Or at least that's what the Daily Specials board says. I never did pay any attention to it whenever I came here, since the price whatever's written way above what I'm willing to pay on food on a single day.
Oh, good. I'm so hungry, I think I'm dying.
You're always hungry.
Hey, not all the time.
Let me guess. You skipped breakfast again.
Not on purpose. I may have overslept by a few seconds today.
Right then. Stop stalling, Isabella. What's this about?
Let us say it, Rebecca. She wouldn't be inviting us out if it wasn't worth hearing out.
Well, we're waiting.
I'm treating you guys to a once-in-a-century thing.
An expectant grin breaks out on my face. Except,
I'm sorry, say that again.
And this is important because...
Becca only raises an eyebrow at me, while Zach appears like he didn't get the punchline to another lame joke Ash made, and is desperately searching for someone to explain it. Oh, bummer. Maybe I should rephrase it.
Okay, let me do that again. Guess what, guys? I'm paying! I sold the house!
As the news sinks in, their expression goes from sheer bewilderment to utter surprise. That's more like it.
You heard me right, ladies and gentlemen. As of today, I'm Maria Isabella Grace Cruz Santos
Oh,
and
dear.
free from my instant noodle binge.
Apparently she's from the Philippines. Maria Isabella Grace Cruz Santos. Good lord. Imagine you get a library card and you have to write your name on the back of it. How do you have the room to write all of that? Good grief.
Seriously?
Hold it, Belle. You sold the house?
Yep.
Which house is this? In Aslam Village? The one with the open house yesterday?
The one and only. Come on, Becca. I know you've got a better memory than that.
Oh, wow. That's...
She lets out a hum. Although she's nodding, she gives the impression of someone who has heard something unbelievable and is forcing her brain to absorb it. Did she think we wouldn't be able to sell it? Have some faith in me, Becca. Am I not your best friend or what?
You don't believe me?
The words tumble out of my mouth before I could stop them. I've been trying to avoid bringing up yesterday's little spat, and judging from the looks on their faces, it seems they are too. Me and my stupid mouth.
I'm sure it ain't the way you're thinking, Bella.
No, I do believe you. But don't you think the sale happened a bit too fast? The open house only started yesterday, and now you already have a buyer?
It happens from time to time.
Yeah, but look, I'm happy for you. Just yesterday, you've been really worried where to get money for your dad's new treatment. And now, all of a sudden, you have something. What if the sale doesn't push through, or I don't know, they're a fraud, or they suddenly back out? Isn't it a little too early to celebrate?
That's kind of how I feel about that.
Rebecca does have a point, Bella. If you haven't closed the deal yet, there's still a chance they'll go back on it.
They don't seem like it to me. The lady appeared to really want it, and she approached me without even finishing the tour.
Pressured me into it, more like. But I'm not going to tell Becca about that, knowing her she'd only worry.
And she already hired someone to handle the house's interior design.
You're joking. Who would do that?
The Wrights, apparently. It's actually pretty funny. She's a bit too excited to get the property, she forgot to buy it. At any rate, they've already signed the agreement today, so it's just a matter of time. And don't tell anyone about this, but Ma'am Hannah also gave us something extra.
Something as in...
As in, it's why I can treat you two to a free meal.
I'm more surprised you accepted it.
She didn't really give us a choice in the matter. So don't lose sleep over this, okay? The couple really want the house. If Rose didn't stop them, they'd likely have paid up front for it yesterday. That's despite the legends, too. I even tried to show them the letter. But nope. I want this house, darling. Go take all our money.
You don't really think they believe that, do you? I'm pretty sure for them, those are just rumors as well. No one is that superstitious in this day and age, Belle.
Yeah, no one. Yeah, no, that'd be silly. Yeah.
Well, there's you.
Right. You know what? I'll just eat all of these by myself.
I begin to gather their plates to my side, the food in each still untouched. A laugh almost escapes my mouth with the way Zach's expression quickly changes to disappointment. Becca's hand interrupts me just as I'm about to pull her plate closer to me.
I'm kidding. Don't go all pouty on me again. I'm just concerned you'll get hurt if this doesn't happen. I know how badly you want to close this deal for your papa.
I'm sure he's gonna be fine now, though, with the money. They don't know yet. I think I'll call them tomorrow. Let them know things will be easier. Mama said this morning he's showing progress with the new treatment, too. It's just a matter of time.
I allow myself to smile, genuine and uninhibited. It's strange talking about this with other people, even those who have known you long enough. But today, things simply feel a lot lighter with them here. Lunch passes in an enjoyable fashion. A laugh here, a playful jab there, but most of it is spent on catching up and telling stories about whatever's keeping us busy these days. Something we couldn't afford to do the day before, taking into account what happened. Even Becca's surprisingly chatty. Is there something in the sea bass we ate? Zach, though, appears less energetic. While he's far from being the life of the party, he's definitely not the type to keep quiet in a conversation with his friends. Apart from a few inputs, he's been silent the whole time. If Becca notices...
Are you sure you're not feeling under the weather, Zachary?
Huh? No, I'm okay. No worries, Rebecca.
Doesn't sound okay to me.
It's okay. I might be feeling a little bummed out today, but I'm sure this will pass.
Hello, Dems Kitty.
Is it about the reviews this morning?
Excuse me. A pained expression crosses Zach's face, and almost immediately, Becca retreats in her inquiry, as though this man's look is enough of an answer for her. I look between the two of them. Did I miss something? What happened this morning? Did I stumble on a big secret? This is why I don't like waking up late.
You heard about those, huh?
Sorry, I just happened to check on some sites this morning.
Nah, it's a very sensitive topic in the first place. I should have expected it.
What reviews?
Becca glances at Zach, her motions unsure, eyes asking for his consent on the matter. Although there's a small desire to keep asking on my part, I don't dare voice it out. With Zach, it's always been better to wait. Let him speak on his own. Becca, too, to some extent, although with her, explosions of temper are more common. In the end, he simply answers with a shift of his shoulders, gesturing for her to go on with a tilt of his head.
It's his movie.
That doesn't explain anything. Stop dangling the information, Becca.
Zachary, I'm not the one supposed to be telling her about this. It's still your documentary.
Is it something bad?
Not bad per se. You guys don't need to dwell on it much.
Bad? Listen here. I wouldn't trivialize what those bowheads wrote if I were you. They're ruining other people's jobs.
From how her tone rises in anger, it seems like she's the one slighted and not Zach. A snicker escapes me, which I promptly stomp down on as soon as she sends me a hard look.
This isn't a laughing matter, Isabella. Some bowbag just insulted him.
Calm down, Rebecca. Those are just reviews, and it happens a lot.
I do not ken about you two, but calling the entire film an out-and-out drivel, you're better off watching an educational kids' TV show, and worst 1.5 hour of my life, among other things, isn't exactly a critique any decent movie reviewer would say. If you could call that a critique, did we even watch the same film?
Well, maybe I ain't cut out for it. Better stick with my photography or something. If nothing else, this helped me open my eyes to what I can and can't do.
You're giving up.
It wasn't a question.
It was just something experimental I did on my free time anyway. It's no big deal.
But you worked on it for months.
Doesn't look like it matters for those people.
Don't say that!
My palm strikes the table, sending the tableware on top clanging against each other. I didn't even notice when I rose from my seat. But here I am, chest heaving, looking down on him the same manner a teacher would at any unruly student. Becca's probably proud. I didn't mean to yell, but there are some things that people like Zach aren't supposed to say. How exasperating. He, of all people, should know.
It's just a review.
Except they're pretty well-known critics.
Why does that matter? They aren't the ones calling the shots on this. Isn't that why they have a committee? Right, Becca?
An amused gleam is in her eyes when I turn to her. What does she find so entertaining here? Help me here. Your friend's about to quit his passion for a petty reason. I haven't read what those people wrote about his work, but a few scathing words shouldn't be enough to discourage someone. I should know. After all, I'm...
Failing means you're playing, Zach. Not that I'm saying it's bad. I've seen it from start to finish, and I know for myself what you created isn't something people should scoff at. I don't know anything about filming or photography. Hell, I don't have an inkling of artistry in me except for those doodles I make for class. But I know what I watched. Look at Isabella. It's not every day you see her all riled up like this.
Whatever I'm about to say gets lost in my tongue as a flush of embarrassment blooms across my face.
It was a heat of the moment thing. And anyway, I'll be very angry with you if you quit. What about the exhibit?
What exhibit?
Classified information.
Even if I bring you your favorite tonight?
Nope, not a chance.
Oh, come on! I thought we aren't supposed to have secrets.
A burst of laughter comes from Zach.
Thanks, you two. I might need some time alone to myself for a while. Just to think about things, how I'll go from here, that sort of stuff. Hey, I'm not quitting, Bella. Don't give me that face.
There's no face at all. Only a poor imitation of a puppy dog eyes, if you could call this one.
Promise?
I'll be damned if I break any promise I make to you guys. Besides, you're right. It's too early to say anything right now. What's night ain't for another week.
And that's all the answer I need from him. As sentimental as it sounds, there's fulfillment in knowing another person you know won't take the same path you've walked. It's not like it's over for me, though. I still have time. I could still come back. Do my own thing. Do what I really want to do. Surely, once Papa recovers, once I'm done with everything. Inside my bag, my phone buzzes unexpectedly, breaking the pleasant afternoon lull. The screen shows Rose.
Hey, Isabel. You at the office?
Ha ha. Very funny, Rose. I'm hanging up.
Don't, I'm kidding. BRC says the floor plan copies are ready for Miss McCullough to pick up.
She states that as if it already explains everything. Then, out of the blue, she launches a long rant about the awful state of Luxborn's streets. All of which she says in a single breath that I can barely keep up and make out a single word. I stay quiet, if only to avoid becoming the next object of her frustration. She's similar to Becca in that regard.
I'm stuck in horrendous traffic right now. Bloody stupid drivers.
When she has finally ran out of things to complain about and stops, what she says next still has none of what I'm hoping to hear from her. Just a quick mumbled plea for me to meet the Wright's interior designer in her stead, and an...
Anyway, I'll leave it to you. Bye, thanks.
Wow. Hello, Raiders. Thank you, Fighting GMTK, for the raid, and hello, Raiders. Wow, that's a whole lot of people. I want to thank the Academy for this audience that has been blessed upon me and my timeline in this hour of need. I want to thank all the little people whose names I can't remember. Anyway, so, hi everyone. I don't expect most of you will stay. This is a visual novel called The Letter. It's a very tame horror VN, and I'm really enjoying it, so, it would take too long to explain what's going on at this point. I'm about 4 hours into the game, but thank you all for popping in. Hello. Hope everyone has a good day. Classic Rose. She ends the call without even asking for my input. The sky is cloudless, and the noontime sun is beating down on the hard concrete when we leave the cafe. Oh, cool, Fighting GM. Yeah, well, it's a fun game, isn't it? It's far from unbearable, but it's enough to put most people in a fickle mood, or make them vulnerable to catching something. No wonder we have staff members going AWOL lately. Not to mention my boss's Holy cow, I don't know how to say that. Moods. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I want our usual cloudy weather back. Oh yeah, so do I. I mean, clearly fighting GM. Yeah. Yeah, EAS makes great games. If you guys are interested in the letter, this will be getting a physical release for the Switch early next year, as well as a digital release on the PlayStation. So, yeah, 2022 looking good for this game and for many, many, many other games as well from EAS. For all the gripes about the unpredictable weather, though, the streets of Luxborn remain constantly busy. The hurried tapping of shoes against the pavement and inane chatter coming from the lunchtime crowd fill the humid afternoon air. A small reminder of the things we still have to do, regardless of how much I want to return to the comfort of my bed. Back to Briar Realty for me, Zach to a meeting with the magazine publisher featuring luxury houses, and Becca to her lesson plans and books at home. Is this a slideshow? This is a visual novel. But more than once, I catch her sneaking a longing glance over something displayed on the shop window. Did she want to buy something? Maybe I can get it for her this Christmas. I turn my head at the last shop she checked out. A fleeting glimpse. The world stills. Oh, geez. She looks at me, eyes hollow, gaze piercing, and boring into my very soul like a set of chains to keep my whole body still. There are no shadows or whispers this time. Only a plea. A hum, low and indistinct. Compelling me, beckoning me, intent on dragging me to the void beyond the glass. I don't dare move. My heart hammers against my ribs, each beat, every thump screaming at me to look away and make a run for it. But I can't. I couldn't. All of my limbs feel heavy, while my own breathing strains in the face of her calls.
Leave me alone.
Her mouth is stretched in a grin, wide and unpleasant. The panic building up in my chest forces me to take a tentative step back. I try not to stare at the decaying flesh, the blood streaming from the gaping wounds on her arm or her nailless fingers. I don't want this. Not like this. Not after I got what I want for Papa.
No, stop. Leave me alone.
Her face contorts and she lets out a wail, sharp and utterly unforgiving. Rage. There is only hatred and bitterness, as if the very notion of turning away from her is an offense in itself.
Please! I don't want this!
Before I know it, I'm stumbling backwards, my own throat hoarse from the screams I didn't even notice already coming from my mouth. The back of my feet catches on a loose stone, sending me sprawling on the ground. The resulting pain completely jolts me out of my haze, blurring my mind. For a little while, my surroundings appear unfamiliar, until Becca's face swims into my vision. Oh, that was unnerving, wasn't it? Hope everyone sleeps well tonight, right? A look of concern is on her face, and her hands are gripping my arms tight. Even Zach appears beside himself with worry, while he stands beside her, acting as a shield against the small crowd of onlookers already forming around us.
What happened?
Bella, you okay?
My mouth opens and closes, but nothing comes out. The words refuse to form. On impulse, I sneak a swift glance at the display window. She's gone. Yet the foreboding feeling hasn't left me. My hands are shaking as I push myself off the ground, my weakened limbs relying solely on reflex and muscle memory. Something icy has made its home at the pit of my stomach. I want to throw up, anything, to get the wretched sensation out.
You were screaming. Zach, call someone!
No, don't. I'm good.
You're not good, but okay.
I need to get to the office. Rose, the floor plans. Someone's going to pick it up. I'll see you later.
Careful. Don't stand up yet. Stay put, Isabella. Zach, you watch over her for me. I'll call for someone.
I attempt to smile to put her at ease, but it likely comes off as a grimace. Gently, I push her hands off my shoulders. My knees are still trembling, but I can stand. Leave. Leave me. Stay away. Away. The humidity is stifling, everyone's stares are unnerving, and Becca and Zach's concerns are suffocating. I don't want to be here. No more. I break into a run. I wish I hadn't left my bed this morning. Me every day. Here, with only the occasional drips of water on the sink and the whirring of the fan blades to keep me company, it's easy to fall into a cycle of negative thinking. But even with the clutter to keep me company, the room still feels a whole lot bigger than usual. I hug my knees closer as a group passes by outside. Loud. So loud. If only there was a way to tune everything out, to keep my head from replaying every image, every sound of her. Her screams, her awkward gait as she reaches for me, her bone-chilling smile, her pleas for... enough! That's enough! A shiver passes over me, though it's not from the hair still hanging damp against my back, nor the draft that enters the room from the windows I have left open. My gaze shifts over to the letter sitting on the coffee table. Its edges flutter innocuously as the wind touches it. Funny how an ordinary-looking piece of paper can bring this much trouble. The impulse to throw it away or rip it to pieces is still there. I can easily do it, but after that, what? Will she leave me? What about those people who have already seen it? Will they be okay? This uncertainty gnaws at me, knowing that she's real and might also go after the people I care about. I just wish someone would listen. Believe me. The abrupt break in the silence nearly makes me jump out of my skin. Frowning, I take a quick look at the clock on my bedside table. It's late. No one usually visits around this hour, except maybe for...
Isabella? Are you in there?
Her tone is tentative, unsure, testing whether I'll respond or not. Any other day, she'll just enter the room after one knock. Today I think she's trying to be considerate. She knows I'm in here. She can easily go inside since I've given her a copy of my key years ago. Purely on her insistence, of course, after she saw the state of my room. In her own words, like a hurricane passed through the place. There you go, Dim. Ever since, she'll drop by from time to time, either to share whatever she dished up or help me clean. She knocks again, louder this time, albeit the kind with less urgency. I take that as my cue to answer the door.
Hey.
Hey there. Mind if I come in?
She holds out a paper bag to me. From inside, a savory aroma wafts into the air, making my stomach rumble rather loudly. Becca shoots me a knowing smile before she walks into my apartment, like she owns the place.
I knew you missed dinner. I picked this up on my way home. Thought you'd like one too. And why is it so dark in here? Were you sleeping when I knocked?
I move to turn on the lights myself before she stretches her hand out for the switch.
Not really. I was just thinking.
About? Did you rearrange things again? Where are the plates?
Stuff. The cupboard to your right, top shelf.
Only the clinking of silverware could be heard as a hush fills the room, a sound both familiar and awkward. I can easily answer her previous question to cover for the lack of talk, but from her hurried movements and hesitant tone, I know she'll bring it up sooner. The food is just a ruse to get me to open my mouth. I'm unsure if I should be happy or mad that I have someone like Becca who knows me so well. Minutes later, she's pushing a plate into my hands and settles on the sofa opposite my seat at the edge of the bed. She sticks fork in her own dish, yet does not go beyond shoving the meat and peas around her plate. She would have scolded me by now if I did the same in front of her. Shrugging, I look down at my food and...
It's pork? Are you sure you want to eat this?
don't look at me like I'm feeding you poisonous stuff.
I know, but pork? You hate pork.
I don't hate it. I don't like eating it on a regular basis. I can always burn it off with a few hours of jogging. Why are you being picky about this? You're the one who doesn't even gain weight no matter how much or whatever you eat.
I was just asking. You threw a fit when I used pork in your stovies that one time.
It wasn't a good day to eat that? And what about you? You don't seem to be having a good day either. This afternoon?
She opens the subject with the same finesse a bulldozer has. I might have laughed if we were talking about something else. I'm almost impressed. She used to complain about my own tendency to do that. In the end, Becca simply gives up any pretense of eating and sets her own plate on the side table. She leans forward in her seat, clasping her hands together in her lap as her expression grows serious. It reminds me of that one time I got sent to the principal's office. I can neither recall when or why. The memory is vague now, considering the years since. But I remember squirming on my seat a lot, the agonizing weight, and the intense desire to leave the room.
Isabella, what happened?
I spear a piece of meat and pop it into my mouth. It's good, but the taste doesn't really register. A shame. Becca, sharp as ever, is quick to pick up on this and pushes through with her questions, foregoing her place in the couch to sit beside me. Not that the concern is unwelcome, quite the opposite, actually. Except the expectation that we'd fall in the same cyclical argument is there.
About yesterday, during Zach's movie, things didn't end well, and I guess... No, let me rephrase that. I just want to say I'm sorry. We're sorry. We were pretty harsh.
Although I'm still upset about it, Becca seems sincere with her apology. Okay, chat, to those of you who are here, please help me vote. Please vote to help me pick an option. Do we go top, I was telling the truth, or do we go bottom, what's the point? We got so many people in here, it would be a shame if you guys didn't help vote for this. Well, we have one vote for I was telling the truth. I realize there's a lot of you who are watching who probably don't have Twitch accounts, so if you can't comment, then don't worry about it. Huh. Which one do I go with, actually? Let's go with I was telling the truth.
I was telling the truth.
What is it that people often say? Words lose their meaning when you keep repeating them? And they do. My voice comes out as a whisper, an earnest plea. But its meaning rings hollow even to my own ears. How long are they going to keep asking me the same thing? How many times do I have to tell them what I've seen before they believe me?
Is this it?
Becca picks up the letter from the table, and for the first time since this exchange started, I look up from my food. She inspects it in the same manner one does with something fragile, holding it with all the care in the world. Her stare lingers on the message printed on it. Something pensive sets in her face as she reads the lines over and over again. I want to stop her, take the paper away from her hands, hide it. But it's too late now, isn't it? It dawns on me now that maybe yesterday's argument was also my fault. Because more than wanting them to believe me, I'm also running away from the guilt. From the idea I put my own friends in danger. And I'm afraid to do anything about it. I'm a coward.
Sorry, I wasn't able to get a good look at it when Ash was holding it yesterday.
It isn't like it'll make a difference.
Where did you even buy this?
The attic.
Attic where? The mansion? You know, this might have a historical significance.
I doubt it. It was on the floor when I saw it.
So a prank then?
It's not a prank! That's the same thing I was telling you yesterday.
Then tell me what happened.
It's okay,
I
Vin.
can't understand where you're coming from if you keep giving me short-clipped answers. Please?
I fall silent. Becca's far from a person who will believe in such things, yet...
You really want to hear it?
She nods. I tell her everything, from the moment I arrived at the mansion, my search for Rose, and what I saw. True to her words, she listens. Not in the same way a person hangs onto a storyteller's every word as if it's the only truth in the world, but in a manner a person who has simply offered to lend an ear to someone who needs it does. No personal opinions, no long arguments whether it's the truth or not, just her undivided attention. And it's pleasant to be heard, that is.
Is it the same? This afternoon? When you... I've never heard you scream like that.
She was there.
She? Who is she? I'm missing a lot of things here, Belle.
Her! The ghost! She's just there, standing, calling for me.
On the streets? I don't...
On the window! Becca, it's her face when she looks at me. It's here, stuck in my head. I can't shake it off. There are voices, shadows asking for help. I don't know how. I don't know what she wants from me. Lord, I don't even know how to help myself right now.
My hand begins to shake. Balling them into fists is all I can do to keep them from moving. She may not be here. I may not be seeing her misshapen face smiling at me, but the dread remains. I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be left alone with these haunting images again.
I'm sorry. I didn't know this has been bothering you like this.
Why are you apologizing?
Look at you. This isn't the Isabella I know. Any other day, you'd bounce back. You got what you wanted today. Your dad's gonna be okay. And yet here you are. Zach can tell. I'm sure Ash can as well. I'm probably the only one thinking of selfish reasons the day before.
Where exactly is this coming from, Becca?
I don't think she means to say that one out loud, judging by how quick her head snaps up at my question.
Certain things. It's nothing. Don't get worked up about it. Anyhow, I should go. Try not to think about it, all right? You need your rest, and I'll be next door if you need me.
My hands move automatically to grab the back of her shirt before she can take a single step away. I have no idea what came over me. Her apartment's next door. I can easily bother her if I need something. She said so herself. However, my trembling hands refuse to budge. I don't want to be alone.
Do you want me to stay?
Can you? Just until I fall asleep?
What are you, 5?
Please. I really, absolutely don't want to be left alone right now.
I can understand that.
I tried to sleep earlier. Last night, too. I thought a shower would help today, but it's still in my head.
What am I going to do with you?
I smile. Both these are good.
You are such a big baby. Move over. I know how we'll fix this.
She motions for me to scoot, and I do so, though not without a scoff. Typical Becca, a teacher through and through, regardless of where she is. Then, without notice, she pulls my head into her lap. I freeze.
What are you doing?
Hey, achievement unlocked, slumber party.
Singing you to sleep like the big baby you are. I may not be as good a singer as you are, but I can handle a few tunes.
Stop treating me like a kid. This is completely unnecessary.
I make an attempt to straighten up, but Becca's persistent. Gently, she pushes my head back down.
I'm kidding. Didn't you say this is how your mom used to lull you to sleep? I just thought you could use something familiar to you.
You're not my mom.
It may sound like a complaint, but we both know the statement has no ill will attached to it.
How are they back home? You said they called?
Good. From what Mama told me, EJ won a medal.
Who's EJ again?
The youngest. A bit chubby on the cheeks. I showed you a picture of him once. You said he looks a little like me, especially around the eyes.
She's quiet as I talk, interrupting only to ask a question if there's something she doesn't understand. I tell her of my 4 younger siblings, little troublemakers, all of them. And of my no-good elder brother who almost landed himself in jail a month ago. Of my sister who had to move away recently to run from her ever-increasing debts. It's the same old story she heard countless times. Yet every time she asks, every time it's brought up, she listens tirelessly. Becca may not believe me about the ghost, but she may have just been listening to help keep my fears at bay. But for now, I am content. Sleep comes easier tonight. And for the first time in a long time, I dream. Of clear skies, of unrestrained laughter from children playing in the streets, and of small, cramped dwellings. To an outsider, the sight does not paint a pretty picture. However, this is home to me. Okay, that's what we're going to call it. Perfect timing. Alright, so, for all the people who are still here because of that raid, thanks everyone. I don't know if I'll be playing this again on Thursday or not. That's right, I'll be back on Thursday instead of Friday. Friday is Christmas Eve, so I'm going to be streaming a day early this week to make up for it. Looks like... Okay, I actually do not know what I'll be playing on Thursday, but I will be back Thursday to, right here playing maybe this, maybe something else. I guess we'll find out together. Until then, hope everyone has a great week. In case you don't return, Merry Christmas, everyone. On behalf of East Asia Soft, I have been Skull. Have yourselves a great day and a great week. Oh, yeah, and remember that this game will be getting a physical release early next year, as well as a digital release on PlayStation. So, lots to look forward to if you're a fan of the letter. Okay, now I'm going to be saying goodbye, everyone. Have a good day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.